It's so hot, it's so hot. Hello and welcome, my name is Miro and this is another planty chores video. We mainly have repotting to do and it's a lot of repotting. I also have to do a lot of watering today, but I am just not going to film that because it would be too difficult. It is currently, I think, like 37 or 38 degrees of Celsius, which is around 100 degrees of Fahrenheit, so it is very nice and toasty. The AC is on, so I do apologize if you can hear it, but I think I would actually faint if the AC wasn't on. I can already see that I'm sweating. And you know, to be quite honest with you, there is still a chance that I might faint because it's incredibly hot, and my room is currently incredibly crowded. I started several projects and things got out of hand. I started to take out Hoyas from my small tent to sort of see what needs to be repotted, what needs to be trellised. I wanted to make new trellises for those plants, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna water them and put them back because it is cuckoo to do all of this work right now. But anyway, we will repot some plants. I think I have about 25 plants to repot. I'm not sure, and it's gonna span like 2 days. I just need to wipe my forehead with a towel. Whew. Okay, you can kind of see that my cheeks are really red. I do not respond well to heat at all. But anyway, we have about 20 plants to repot, and I think I will do a smaller number of them today because I kind of started late. It's around 4 p.m. and usually I will start earlier with my plant chores, but today I don't know, I couldn't. But anyway, we are going to do some Aroids today, and then there will be Hoyas tomorrow, and maybe we'll do some Hoyas today. I'm actually not quite sure. We'll see how I feel. I do get very irritated very fast in the heat, you know. Maybe this will just be one plant, but essentially we're gonna do some Aroids. And oh, before we start, I actually want to show you a Hoya in bloom. I don't even see if I'm in focus. This is Hoya Elephant. Oh my gosh, that leaf just slapped you right in the face. We have flowers on two peduncles. One of them is down here, which please just forget that my face exists. That one is on its way out, but we do have another one here. And I can't really, I don't want to move the leaves too much because sometimes you can really easily break them that way. I do have some nice photos, and you know what, I actually have way too many Hoyas in bloom right now because I need to take photos of so many of them, like for Hoya of the Week series. And I want to take some nice detailed photos, and it's like 10 Hoyas in bloom right now that have not been in bloom before, or that I haven't taken good photos of, and it's like, could you not when it's the hottest? Plus, like, all of the plants here, it's really difficult. I need to figure out what to do with this Atabapoense. I think I need some rearranging help / ideas. I might move my rod stock because this is going to be a terrarium where this plant is, and then sort of move him in the back. I don't know, because that radiator will be on in the winter. This is a digression, obviously, but that radiator will be on in the winter, so I don't really know about that. But it's just really in my way, because this is where I take photos. I have a table that pulls up, and it's really always in my way, and he's huge. He's huge, and I recently even ripped a leaf. You can kind of see there, because he is constantly now in my way. And there's just nowhere else where I can put him, but I mean, he can't even fit in the frame. It's just such a large plant. Like, that's like half of him. More than half doesn't even fit in the frame. It's crazy. He's too big. Or I have like a too big of a bed. I don't know. I have a new Aroid, and I'm going to repot him today, but I don't actually know if I'm going to keep this plant. This is Philodendron Bob C. variegated, and he's going to go into this hanging planter. So we shall see if I will like that. I essentially got him because it was not expensive, number one. Number two, I do like variegated Aroids, and I do like Aroids with elongated leaves. I'm not a fan of Aroids that are looking like this. I do like serrated leaves, but I want them to be similar to that formerly known Thaumatophyllum bipinifolium, maybe. It's often sold as Salome, but I don't think that's the correct name. But anyway, I don't like them when they're neither here nor there. But this one can actually grow really nice when it gets bigger. And I think on the camera, the variegation might even show better than it actually is. It did arrive beat up. Maybe that's why I don't like it. Obviously, I know he will not look so beat up. I don't know. Let's vote on him. What do you think of Philodendron Bob C? But essentially, I wanted a philodendron, a hanging philodendron with similar shaped leaves and with variegation. Essentially, what I was looking for is billieti, but that is so expensive still and way out of the price range of Miro. So we're not gonna buy that, but yeah, I don't know. I'll think about this plant. Essentially, I want to repot him and then we will wait for 2-3 new leaves. And if I like him, I will keep him. If I don't, I will just sell him. And I do have a couple of more new Aroids. You will see them. I am wanting to grow them hanging, and I am sort of going to redo my window hanging section because I'm just not happy with how some of the Hoyas look hanging. They really are annoying me. They get into my hair all the time. So I think I'm gonna probably trim some of them. Some of them I'm gonna keep because I like them, like Chinquagensis. That's the type of the plant that I would like to hang, or Vaccinoides or Affinity Glariana. But something that's gonna grow long vines and get into my hair, I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna grow those hanging anymore, but we'll see. So I'm sort of looking for their replacements, and I think I'm gonna hang my orchids too. I have, by the way, in my last video, people are like, I can't wait for Miro to get into orchids. Babes, I've been into orchids long before I've been into Hoyas. I just don't show them. I mean, I used to have a much larger orchid collection, but then they got a virus, yada, yada, yada. I'm not gonna go into it. But anyway, let's just start with a repot. We do have a lot of things to do. So first, let's try not to break him. These are kind of always very weak at the base. It's a good root system. I'm just gonna break it apart a bit. But honestly, I'm not going to try too much. Here, let's just see if there is any presence of visitors that we don't want. This is really root bound. Okay, let's just get this out of the way. You cannot even see. Let me adjust the camera. Okay. You can sort of see a little bit better here what we're doing. So essentially I'm just going to be gentle, but it's really, really wobbly here at the base. So we might need to put a small stake, but because this is the type of, I think they call these like a self-heading philodendron, I don't think it's gonna grow much like a climber, though I think it can grow like a climber, but we're just gonna hope that it's gonna grow the way that I want to. Otherwise, I'm just not gonna have it. I don't feel like we are getting anywhere with this, to be honest. I don't feel like we're getting anywhere. Yeah, I am pulling a bit on the roots here, so it's not ideal, but it's really, it really grew into this cocoa peat. And I do want to get rid of some of it at least. I mean, I'm not saying we need to clean off the roots, but let's get rid of some of it. Okay, we're getting someplace. I'm not really afraid for these roots. Philodendrons are typically very resilient, or they have been super resilient here. Very few have not been resilient. Most of them did really well. I used to have many, many more, but they grow so large. And I don't know, I just miss some of them. I'm really, to be quite honest with you, missing the diversity in my collection. And like, yeah, sure, I have quite a lot of Hoyas and they're all very diverse, but I look at some other people's videos who do have Aroids still, and I sort of miss them. Of course this has the plug. Of course this has the stupid plug in there. See, it has that plug. You can't see anything. It's the cocoa plug. I hate when they leave those plugs in. I understand, of course, why they do, and they're supposed to degrade. I have never, like every time when I repot the plant that you get like that's produced en masse, whenever I repot them, I just see that these don't really degrade that quickly, those types of plugs. They just stay on the plants for a long time. And sometimes they're even, especially with orchids, they are like these small plastic pots, like a net pot, and those are not going away. So I'm not really sure what you're trying to do here. And especially with orchids, the type of the mix that they use is awful in those plugs. Like you can put the orchid in bark, but like whatever is in the plug is like a wet sponge that's muddy. Okay, I think I'm satisfied with this. Let's not get too much into the ranty headspace. We're trying to stay like very positive, a very uplifting, etc. And to be quite honest with you, I can't wait to water today because I have started watching Game of Thrones. I've never seen Game of Thrones. I sort of started to watch when it was like the hype, and I stopped because I was going to university at that time, and I don't know, I was preoccupied with studying, and I didn't watch the TV show back then, and I want to watch it now. And when I water or when I do plant chores, they sort of play it in the back because I don't need to keep the contact with the screen at all times for several reasons. Sometimes it's just too difficult to watch some of these scenes, and I know what happens in the show. Like, I know all the way until the end, and it's made it so much easier. Because, like, some of the things, I just don't know how I would take them if I was watching them without knowing they're gonna happen, like the Red Wedding, which is the episode that I am on. Sorry for those who are not Game of Thrones fans. I'm not going to talk about it too much, don't worry. So these roots are okay. A little bit now damaged due to the activity. But again, it's a vigorous grower, I assume. And I just don't think this is going to actually set it back all that much. I'm glad to see there are no root mealybugs, detectable at least. So we're going to put him in a hanging pot, and the mix that I have chosen, and just get this, the mix that I've chosen is like your typical Aroid mix. I didn't use the best quality bark because honestly I will need a lot of bark for some of these Aroids, and bark is not cheap. I'm going to save my premium bark for Hoyas, so we know who is the favorite. Okay. Is this pot too big? No, I think it's fine. I think it's going to be fine. Oh, I just absolutely detest that my Mills bow is right across from me. And all I can think about is those Hoyas need water. Those Hoyas need water. Oh. Okay, so this is sort of the mix here. And I amended this bark with some cocoa husk, with perlite. There is even some cocoa peat. I did bake the bark to sort of make it a little bit better, but you can see it's just very tiny pieces of bark. That I really would not use for Hoyas. And if this was like some super rare Aroid, I wouldn't use it either. But like, come on, it's a tissue cultured plant that is probably so robust that it can grow in anything. So let's not kid ourselves here. It's not that I don't love you. I just have faith in you that you're very resilient, is essentially all I'm saying. I really should have gotten my tiny shovel for this, but hey, why not make a mess, right? I will add slow release fertilizer to this off camera because I do find Aroids to be quite hungry. And I honestly can't keep up with fertilizing it. And I do fertilize them despite using the slow release fertilizer. Yeah, he's so wobbly. But what are you gonna do? He's gonna grow into it. I know it. Okay, so that is philodendron basie finished. The next one is my yoepi. And I have two plants here. They've been outside, so they did burn a bit. Because, let's just again adjust the camera. Because everything currently is burning outside. It's too hot, there's no shade. No one can keep up with anything. Even the plants that are like fruit trees that are potted are not doing the best. The temperatures are crazy, but I feel it could have been worse. So we're gonna pot both of these plants in this planter, and let's just hope there isn't anything on this plant that is gonna make me squirm, like a bug or something. I know these don't have great roots because I know I have been underwatering them for the longest time. Could you not fall over? No, you couldn't. You absolutely must fall over and water. Oh no. Finding the center. Let's just get these out of the pots and hope for some, oops, that was crazy. Let's hope for some okay roots. But also, we might not see that many, yeah. Okay, yeah, I don't think we're gonna see that many great roots here. But hey, at least I'm fixing it, so don't judge. These came to me in these mixes, and these are mixes that are absolutely not great for my own environment, especially because it gets way too humid. But did I do something about it? Absolutely not. But this one is actually kind of good. I am surprised to see that there's like any roots in this one. The friend who sold me this other one, she came to get some Hoyas. She moved abroad and she came to get some Hoyas for me to take them back home with her. And she said, I just don't think I've ever seen a joppy do that or be that underwatered. And I'm like, thank you. I can underwater anything. They have been sitting in this planter for such a long time, and it was like something that I knew I needed to repot, and I just never got into that. Okay, these are actually not terrible. You can't see on the camera, but yeah, they're good. There is active root growth almost everywhere, so let's just not get too cuckoo with removing more than necessary. This one I am kind of afraid for, but at the same time it has like a new leaf that's kind of big. So keep your fingers crossed. Keep your fingers crossed. Oh, that's actually great. Oh, the surprise. The surprise, the surprise. Oh, they're gonna grow so much better once they get new pots. Oh, it's the bug. Oh, that's a bug. Oh, that's a bee, that's a wasp. That I feel has died in this. Oh my goodness, that's awful. Oh no. Oh gosh. Okay. Stop. Sorry, this is also like lifting. I need to get some sort of a repotting table for videos that is this height that I can also put my hands on. This is actually kind of good. I am shocked. It's a very dense mix, not something that I would use, but again, you know, everyone has different environments. And I think I'm going to leave him outside. It's sort of adjusted. It was a bit critical in the beginning, so I don't know if we see some of the burns. Like, yeah, you can definitely see here. It was a bit critical there, but I think we're okay now. We have adjusted. And then I'm going to put him back inside in fall. We'll see. Maybe I will put him inside now. But I do like this plant. And I just, in between recording the videos and editing the videos and studying Hungarian and teaching my niece English and being terrible at Patreon and taking Hoya photos and trying to kind of reply to some of the messages. I'm terrible at replying at them. It's just like not enough time for everything. And like it's so rare that I will even watch anything. Like, yeah, I'm watching a TV show right now, but it's again in the middle of doing other things. I don't know what I'm trying to say with that. Do you have periods when you feel like everything is sort of slipping away? Because I think like right now we're going through a period here where I'm like, it's so many things to do. Where I feel like I just need to take like 2 weeks off and not show my face on YouTube or anywhere just to get everything in order. But you can't really do that with plant or just like with content creation. You can't really stop, because if you do, you're going to be punished forever. It's like if you don't upload videos for 2 weeks, you're going to be punished for 2 months at least. And I feel that content creators, if there are any who watch my channel, do be feeling this. Okay, so we need to sort of arrange these plants. I don't think that I can make them go back to back. Or maybe I can. Can I? Yeah, sort of can. Which I think I'm gonna do. Is that better or is this better? I feel it's better to make them all go the same direction. Yeah, I'm gonna make them go the same direction because it's gonna be perceived only from one side anyway, so why just not make it look fuller? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't see what I'm doing. Okay, I think I can lift my camera a bit. It doesn't look the I don't know. It doesn't look the best, but it doesn't look the worst. I don't think I have achieved what I wanted to. I think I wanted this one to go a little bit more to this side, but that looks nice. You know what? I'm not going to be bothered by this. It does look a bit wonky, so I might put this back in. I don't know who used this. I think it was Kaylee. We don't have these, unfortunately, but I wish we did. These very small moss poles. Amazing. I wish we had those. I know that I can probably buy one and just shorten it. Of course you're not going to stick. Why would you? This is going to be absolutely useless, but for now, it sort of helped him. Okay, that's 2 plants down. Let's do some of the new ones that I got. I traded one of the 3 secure philodendron green Congos that I have. I divided that plant into more than 3 parts, but 3 are stable, and I traded one of those for a philodendron jungle fever. I also want to grow this hanging, so it fits the concept. Shush. And then this is a Monstera Leclercana variegated. It looks a bit but they will grow really well. Monstera does need a moss pole, but I'm not gonna make one. I'm just, because they're in moss, I just want to transfer them now. And I think the philodendron might not even be rooted. Yeah, I don't think he's rooted. Nope. He does have new growth here, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put him just in moss. And I'm not going to use this moss. I'm going to use a different type of moss. Okay, this looks okay. I'm going to use different moss. I'm trying to think what I want to do with this plant. So we do have new growth coming there. Do we see? We don't see anything. There is like new growth there. My question is, I used to propagate snowdrift in water, but I also propagated him in regular potting mixes too. My question is, how do I propagate this? I need to decide. The only reason why I'm thinking sort of is because I don't think I have a big prop box. I'm going to pot this now in a similar, actually in a smaller cup, until the roots grow in, and then I'm going to transition it to a pot with a pole, with a moss pole. Of course I have potting mix all over myself. Forget everything I said. I'm going to put the philodendron in moss. This is me changing my mind all the time. But I'm going to put it in my moss. Not that that moss, it looks like high quality, but I don't know. I'm a bit not so trustful when it comes to using moss that came from other people. I'm sorry. I'm like awful. So I will put him in this, and I will stake him, most likely, and put him in my grow tent in my summer kitchen with my Hoyas. I do think I have like a big box there that I can use. And as for the Monstera, I will just put her in this small cup with a hole, with holes. And, well, of course, why would you fit? And wait for the roots to grow a bit. And once they have grown, then we are going to put it in a self-watering pot, most likely with a pole. Let's do just a tiny layer of moss on top. This is what I used to do with my Aroids all the time, to sort of help this not dry out as much. I haven't seen that because it did not adjust my camera, but it's gonna be a pretty plant at one point. I do have a plant here that I just got, and it's a bit ugly currently. It needs to be watered too. I got this as, it said Anthurium. In this nursery, they call it Anthurium Super Silver. I do think this is like a silver blush, but more silver because I do have a silver blush, and it's just nowhere near that. My silver blush has been mighty. See, there is a clear difference. Even in this bigger leaf, which is an older leaf, my silver blush kind of went a bit downhill there, but it was grown from a small plug and it's getting better now. I just essentially didn't water it ever, so no one's shocked. So anyway, I'm going to get this out of the pot, remove the ugly leaves, because we have several, and then put it in a self-watering pot in the mix that I typically use for Anthurium. I do have a mix for Anthurium. I mean, I make my own, which is essentially pumice and bark and some moss, but I'm running low on all of those. And because this is not really a picky plant, I just think I might do the mix that I'm using for the rest. I'm sorry. You all deserve better than what I'm giving you. And my silver blush is actually doing much better. I see it's making a new leaf. My Forgetti is making a new leaf. So they're all doing better after that repot. Even my basie, however that is pronounced, is finally also pushing a new leaf. So they really like the new mix. This is just awful. This thing in the middle, it also has that. But I do find Anthuriums to be such vigorous root growers, so it's not even a big deal if you damage some of the roots. Most of them are actually vigorous root growers. I haven't found them to be particularly sensitive in that department. So we have one ugly leaf there. We actually don't have so many ugly leaves. I only see one more that is kind of ugly, and I'm gonna cut it off. And I could definitely separate this plant. There are like 2 plants here, at least. But I don't think I'm going to do that unless I accidentally snap them, which is definitely a possibility. So if it happens, it happens. We will call it faith. Someone might call it not being gentle. I will call it faith. I'm going to cut this leaf off because it's super ugly. Where are my scissors? And he doesn't have a lack of leaves. And now he's 10 times cuter. Okay, I snapped off a leaf. Faith, destiny, not me being clumsy. I will do just a bit of moss on the bottom. Mix this. Add a bit more moss. Put the plant. And mix in the moss as we go. Boop! I did put a layer of moss on top for the rest of them. For the rest of my Anthuriums. These need to be watered, so again, don't want to hear no judgment. I did put a layer of moss there. So I will need to hydrate some moss, but okay, because I don't have enough right now. It looks a little bit ridiculous in this pot. But I just know there is no sense in putting this into a much smaller pot. We just made enough mix. He looks a bit ridiculous, but sometimes we do look a bit ridiculous until we look amazing. This next segment is called How to Keep Monstera Thai Constellation Small. Keep the plant forever in a cup. This plant is a year old. It could be much bigger, but I kept it in a tiny pot. Monstera Thai Constellation, or any Monstera really deliciosa, but I think this is true for all the Monsteras. They do not want to be so root bound. So we are going to give her a chance. I don't even know if I can remove this. I got this also from a friend. I really hope he's not looking at this video, because I will never hear the end of it. Yeah, I don't think that this is coming out easily. This also has no drainage. I've been growing this in this pot with no drainage. It absolutely has a bit of rotten roots, and then new roots grew, and yeah, I don't actually know how I'm going to remove that. I am sort of tempted to just let it be, but let's try. Monstera also have quite resilient roots, so it's time to show that resilience everyone talks about, right? I'll try to be as gentle as I can, but removing moss is not always easy, so I'm going to fast forward through this part. Okay, we did lose some roots, but honestly, not too many. Not too many, and this is more than enough to sustain this plant. Okay, so I'm going to put it in this pot, and it's not a big pot. This being a Monstera, it is definitely gonna outgrow this pot pretty quickly. Can we put this root in as well? We sort of can. Ooh. Let's do that. Okay. Nice. Now that wasn't so hard. Why didn't I do it years ago? Or a year ago, not years ago. Boop. Done. All right. Let's just adjust the camera a bit. Is this alcohol? I could write on these. One is alcohol, one is distilled water. But why would I make my life easier? So this is Hoya undulata from Sweden that I got. And I'm just going to spray it. She's very dry. your undulata should never get to this stage. So I'm just going to spray the moss, let her hydrate a bit, and we're going to do some other things while we wait for that to happen. I do need to access some Hoyas in the cabinet. You do see that might be a problem. But let's just worry about that later. I will repot this Calathea yellow fusion into a self-watering pot. And yeah, that's all that I'm gonna do here with her. She is still looking okay. Some leaves, some of the crispy edges, that's how she arrived. So we're not gonna blame me yet for it, but you know, if the condition doesn't improve, then I will allow it. But for her, I'm going to use a mix that's mostly cocoa peat and perlite, but there is some bark because I was like dumping stuff into this, so it's a mix of everything. Let's just make a pile of potting mixes. So this Calathea, I'm not even gonna clean her off too much, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, I'm just gonna do just a bit of it, but she can grow in peat. She'll do great. I'm just really going to put her in the pot. Am I recording? Let's adjust you once again. Yeah, let's just put her in here. This actually might be the plant, like Calatheas might be plants that I would grow in pon, but I don't have pon anymore. I mean, I have it in some other pots, but I'm not gonna repot something from pon just to get it out, boil it, and pot this. So, organic mix it is. And she's gonna get a shower. We still don't seem to have any traces of mites, which is low-key surprising to me, but okay. She looks a little stump. Cute. Okay, let's now do the Hoyas. So we will continue to let Hoya undulata soak. I'm going to pot this one. This is Hoya from seed, AH002, for example. And she's going to go into this pot. One of you told me that she likes a larger pot. So let's give it to her. That's not a big loss. So I'm just going to plop her in there. Oops, that's not cocoa husk. Where is cocoa husk? Here it is. Instead of relaxing, let's do as chaotic of a repotting as possible. How about that? How about that? I'm going to put her off to one side, maybe this one, because this one is going to go on a trellis. A lot of people ask me why I put them to one side. Well, because it's growing here, and if I put it to center, you know, I will have to bend the vine a lot. It's just going to be much easier to put her on a trellis if I put her on one side. If you had two cuttings, you would put them on two different sides of the pot. But yeah, with one, I just like to put them off center a little bit. This one was slow in the beginning. It was quite a small cutting. I think like this was the cutting. And she grew okay. It's several months old, but it's not so fast as I thought. But we're getting there. We're gonna push out a vine and a bunch of new leaves. I might actually put her in my southeast facing window and let her grow there. Let's do my Coriacea silver. Just the constant adjustment of the angles. This leaf is a bit more splashy, but this one is full silver. She kind of grows like that. Sometimes they're a bit splashy, sometimes they're silver. Someone did tell me that they don't necessarily need to put this in a big pot, but I do want to put her in a self-watering pot, and let's just see if these roots are gonna come out, because it's gonna be so much easier for me to take care of her. This one has been not the fastest grower either, and it should really be. And the reason why she hasn't been growing the fastest is because I've been not watering this, and it doesn't really show. This plant can really withstand being dry much longer than you would think. Yeah, this is... So we did lose a lot of the roots. They just snapped because they are so pod bound and stuck to this. But that's okay, let's see. Yeah. Well, shucks. I don't love that for me at all, but what are you gonna do? Now it's done. So let's just put her here in this pot. Things like these happen, and the quicker you get over them, the better for you. Because there's just no use to cry about that now. There was a solution, Miro, to repot sooner. But hey, I'm going to use organic mix, by the way, for this. We just rooted her like this, but she can grow in organic mix. And the mix is pumice and bark, some cocoa husk, what else? Pumice bark, cocoa husk, and some moss. And I'm sure she will be fine. In one of my videos, I actually did repot Hoyas from my friend Tima in this mix, and you won't believe how fast they've grown roots in this. So it's quite a good mix, I must say. That looks cute. We do need to trellis her, but that looks cute. Okie dokie. That's really unfortunate. Okay, now what we're going to do is search for a pot for about several minutes, because I don't know where I put it. I'm going to join 3 of my variegated lacunosas into one. I'm absolutely certain these are the same clone. This is from Carolina. This one is from Tima. And this one is from Farah. And I think that Carolina and Farah, they got theirs from the same place for sure. And, well, Tima didn't, but it's all the same clone, I'm positive. And I did cut them recently. I did like a tiny Hoya sale. I'm going to put them in the same mix. Even though this mix is not necessarily something that is very lacunosa-y, I do feel they would like something that's more water retentive, but hey. Also, we are moving this one from inorganic to organic. Oof, that's a very dry mix. Oopsie. I don't know how I will arrange them. Let's again adjust you. And I think after this, we only have undulata. So I want Carolina's to be in the center because it is the largest. So something like this. That looks like it could be nice. It is a bit moss heavier than usual, this mix, actually. But okay, I'll live. Yeah, let's amend the mix. I'm a bit like, what the heck, Miro? Why is there so much moss? This is possibly the worstly arranged Hoya lacunosa, but okay. Just like F. But anyway, it will grow. It's not going to move from that pot ever as well. And let's just do one more, and that's Hoya undulata, and then we really have to be finished. As we have seen, my plants need to be watered. So it's still dry. Let's just make the moss slightly moist. Hoya undulata is probably the worst one to leave in moss for the longest time because it does have sensitive roots. But here we are. And it rooted really, really well in moss. This is not a difficult plant to root. I obviously rooted this myself. But should I have repotted it sooner? Yeah. Okay, so I think this is where I'm going to stop with removing the moss. I've removed most of it. Yes, there is still some left, but a lot of this is just like very fine, very nice root system. So I'm just going to leave this and repot the plant. This one also has like a shorter stem, so that's why it's kind of like had to be potted like that. It had to be pinned down. That sort of concludes our part one. Ooh, where does this go? Do I not now don't have the space for the... Yep, I put it right there. Excellent. Use your brain, Miro. Sometimes use your brain. That's not the ideal placement, but it is what it is. So we have repotted that one too. So let's see how many plants we have repotted today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we repotted 11 plants. So that should be half of what I planned, but I also think I repotted something that I didn't plan. So let's check my list. I will see you tomorrow. I'm gonna clean this up and water the freaking plants. Well, isn't that something? Welcome to another part of these plant chores. I'm looking at my camera to check sort of the angle. It's a bit messy. It's a bit messy here, but I am genuinely out of space right now for this repotting. My room needs to expand. So let's try to get into a position here. We have a Hoya to repot. One I want to check the roots on, and then about 10 epicenias here that you can't see, but they're all next to me. And we have some chatting to do, some serious discussions. I need your help. Some serious discussions need to be done about my terrarium, not a terrarium, my ratsta in the back. You need to move. Get away. I'm also doing plant chores off camera, so it's not just these plants, some other plants are getting repotted as well. I think we're gonna start with a Hoya and then I do know that I wanted to repot some of the Hoyas from my tent, but I think I'm not going to do that because I don't think I have small pots that I want to put them in. Let's see what I wrote down. We are achieving most of the things. We're achieving most of the things. Okay, let's just start with my Hoya clemenciorum. It's this one here. It is clemenciorum with long leaves. I absolutely do not know how camera works, but it is just a gorgeous, gorgeous plant. It has these long, very veiny leaves, and it needs to be repotted. I don't think it has the best roots, so we will check that. So this Hoya clemenciorum, I've had it for, I think, maybe a year and a half at this point. It started off as like 2 or 3 leaf rooted cutting in pond from Betsy, and it since has lost those original leaves. I think maybe it was 2 leaves, and then it grew the small one. And it's not the easiest Hoya. It can be a bit frustrating. And initially I tried to grow it in pond. It did not like pond. And I actually think this plant doesn't even like self-watering. Now, before anyone says in the comments, I have Hoya clemenciorum, I grow it in pond, I grow it... okay, listen. I'm talking about this specific clemenciorum in my conditions. I have Hoya species tangamus, which is most likely, or the one that I have is most likely a clemenciorum. Had no issues with that one. It's important for me to let you know that, which is actually useful for you too when you hear someone else talk about a plant, if I say Hoya undulata is easy, that means the clone that I have. There are many clones of Hoya undulata. Some of them are easy, some of them are darn near impossible from what I hear. And I've noticed, you know, among some of my plants, you can have one species and one will be very easy, and you know, one clone of that species will be very easy, another one will be very difficult. And we see these variations all the time. For example, New Guinea Ghost. It doesn't really bloom that early on. It took a long time for people to bloom it. Some other Nicholsoniae will bloom faster. I have several clones of Hoya Griffithii. One is blooming, it's going to bloom now for the first time after, I think, 2.5 years. And the other one is going to bloom also maybe a week after the first one. And that one I had less than a year to several months, and it had no peduncles. So it's just very different across the board. Just because someone says Hoya clemenciorum is easy, it doesn't mean all of the clemenciorum will be easy. For example, Hoya finlaysoni, which I have a lot to say about. I don't know when I will make this video, but Hoya finlaysoni, Hoya callistophila, even Hoya clemenciorum, that is all murky there. I think that most botanists now consider Hoya callistophila to be Hoya finlaysoni, that those should be sort of joined together. And it's sort of debatable with clemenciorum because of the way that publication is written, but I'm not going to go into that. That's not why I wanted to say this. Some clones of that plant, of Hoya finlaysoni, are super easy and vigorous, others are not. So hold on, I need to take my eyeball out. It just itches. All I'm trying to say is this particular clone, and you know, I talked with some other people, it seems to be slightly more challenging. It's not difficult, it's just like slower. It doesn't really want to be trellised. It can be a bit sensitive to root rot, etc. So we're going to check the roots, and even though this mix I think is mostly bark, I mean, I don't know, maybe I put some cocoa peat in there, I want to check the roots. I want to see how the roots are doing because it already rotted on me once. So if we can just not have that happen again. As we can see, it looks a bit, I don't know. And I want to change the trellis, and I think I will put it to a non-self-watering pot. Pots which I had a stack of. Where did I move the stack of pots? Oh, Miro, sometimes I want to shoot you in the face. Here they are, okay. So I do see some roots coming out. Like one, but even that one has a bit of rot on the end. So let's just try not to break the vine. And typically I would cut this, but with this plant I'm not going to, because sometimes they will grow leaves from those nodes, and Obviously, some of my plants have different treatment. If I find the plant to be particularly slow, I'm trying not to touch it too much. So let's just check on the roots. Oh, there's a bit too much coco peat, I already see. Not too much coco peat, it's just the way that it kind of settled in a weird way. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna find amazing roots. There is some root rot, definitely. So I think what we are going to do is we're gonna abandon this mix. Can we see that root ball? I think I need to come closer to you maybe. You know, some of those are okay and some are not. So let's just try to see what this root ball is about. What's its story? I think what we're going to do is we're going to put this in a non-self-watering pot, in a clear pot, so I can see what's up, and in slightly smaller than the previous one, and on a bamboo trellis. Let's just put the trellis immediately in. Okay, perfection. Let's get that plant in there. Let's just see. Okay. Good enough. My undulata is in this mix and she loves it, and we all know how undulata can have very sensitive roots, so hopefully this is not going to prove to be even more sensitive than undulata. And let's just attach it. Did I cut this too short? Oh my gosh, I absolutely did. Woo! Almost took the entire plant with me. Alright. Now it's too long. Can someone teach me? Of course this leaf is pointing down, why wouldn't it? It's not the most prettiest Clemenceorum that you will see, but hey, let's hope this helps it grow a bit. I saw that Kevin from Hakuna Maplanta has a beautiful Clemenceorum. That one is a completely different clone. It does not look like this. It actually, to me, looks more like something that would be maybe like a closer to Finlaysoni if we look at the publication. But again, the publication, it's very tricky. It's very tricky. But I was really wondering what the location of that one was, or some like additional information on the clone, because I wanted to get it, but he didn't know. But that one grows like a beast. This one, generally for people, is not fast. And, oh, that's just pumice. Oh well. Okay. Let's do the mix. This visually is very similar to IML 1752, and I see a lot of the plants that circulate as IML 1752, and they're just not even remotely similar. I don't know why they circulate under the wrong ID. Is it because IML 1752 is very popular or very desirable, so they put that on purpose? I don't know. It doesn't look the worst. It's just, it could look a little bit better. I'm really not expecting much of this plant. I just would like it to fill out the trellis nicely. And, you know, it doesn't have to be huge. I mean, I would love it. But, yeah. So far, this is where we are at with this plant. Not impressive. But hey, it could be worse. The next Hoya is actually quite easy to grow, and the reason why she is so wrinkled is because the last time I watered her was like 2.5 weeks ago, maybe. And before that, it was also like that. I've massively underwatered Hoya carnosa compacta. Actually, this is Hoya carnosa mauna loa, but it used to be compacta mauna loa, whatever. I can't reach it. Now she's wrinkled as heck, so I just want to check the root system, if this needs to be chopped and put into a prop box. Some of the roots look okay, so she just might genuinely need time to recover, but let's just check. Whenever in doubt, pull out your plant, check on the roots. No, they are fine. They're not rotting. I don't know, why do I have pumice in here? Oh, because this was in pumice. Okay, I understand. I used to grow this in pumice only, and some of those roots have died. So I just genuinely think she needs to be watered once again. It's very dry, even though, again, I did water her a couple of days ago. It really might be that I need to water them much more frequently now because the AC is on, it is very hot. So, yeah, that's actually okay. That wasn't exciting, but she's like wrinkled as heck. But the roots are okay. They're not rotting. Like, sure, there are some rotten roots, but there are more than enough, I think, to sustain her. And there are no mealybugs, root mealybugs. I don't see any. So I don't actually know, unless there is some stem rot, but it doesn't seem to me there is any stem rot, so everything seems to be firmly connected to the root ball. Anyways, I'm just gonna water her. I mean, this is like, it is dry. Objectively, this is super dry when I touch it, so. Which concludes our Hoya chores, I believe. And we are going to move to a discussion. So, I need to decide what I'm going to do with my Rotsta cabinet in the back. I do have terrarium plants, and my initial idea was to turn it into a terrarium, to put plants directly in it, to like make a background and all, and to put the plants or to pot them directly in the terrarium. But now I do have doubts, and we're going to talk about my doubts in a minute here, but first we need to get some of these epicenias repotted, and I think maybe a slightly different angle. Honestly, can I just get another camera? Oh, this one is so gorgeous. I will have to tell you exactly, again, which of these are, even though some people are not interested, because I will absolutely forgot the names. I don't have any tags. This is Northern Night. So Miro, who's gonna write the tags, this is Northern Night. She is so cute. Excellent. So what we're going to do is we're just going to plop them in these. And I will use this sort of as my guide. I talked about this method before when I was repotting some Hoyas. It's a very useful method. Essentially get some soil in, put this pot, and then around it just put the soil. Also, I did not invent this, unfortunately. I did not invent anything yet. We're still kind of waiting for that idea to hatch. But you sort of put the soil around like this, and then you take out the pot or cup or whatever was the original thing that the plant was in, and you can just put the plant inside. And this is just cocoa, peat, and perlite. And hopefully they will do well. They are now currently in pure peat. And then, whoop. But I hope this doesn't fall apart now, but you can just now put your plant inside and you're done. Quick and easy. And I'm gonna make this a little bit later. I'm not gonna do this now, but they're going to go into these. And that is what they're going to look like. It's the best that I can do. I wish we had hanging self-watering planters, but we don't. And if I had patience, I would probably, or if I was willing to go out and buy some microfiber, I could actually thread it through the bottom and sort of hack this to be self-watering, because there is an inner shelf inside. But I'm not going to do that because I simply do not want to go out. Let's choose this one. This one had a fall, so that's not great. I just dropped it as I was getting ready for the video. This is the Blue Heaven. I recently saw this one in bloom on one of the Gesneriad Facebook groups. It's absolutely heavenly. So great name. But anyway, to get back to my Rotsta, I am not sure that I want to do that anymore. And I absolutely love the terrarium plants, don't get me wrong. And actually that is the reason why I don't want to turn it into a terrarium. Or it's not that I don't want to, I want to. I really, really want to, but I'm very afraid. Because I have never made a successful terrarium where plants are directly potted in it. They have all been a failure. I have had several attempts and they all failed. And this is such a large scale that I have zero experience. I have been watching some videos, but I don't know. First of all, it takes a lot of time and I still need to do a bit more research. And then, I'm just worried that the plants are not going to love it, that they're going to tank afterwards, which is a possibility. And yeah, I don't know if I want to go through that hell, because sometimes plants are just not going to adjust well. They might. I don't have any particularly challenging plants in there. Maybe one, which is like a Sonorilla. Is it Sonorilla? I don't know. I will show you next time. In the next video, potentially, we can talk about my terrarium. But I'm just not very confident that I will know how to do this. And these plants are not super common here. Actually, I had to import all of them except for the begonias. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just not sure. I still have to get some species. I have to get some orchids. I would like to grow miniature orchids in there, some carnivorous plants. And the issue is I'm going to start to get more of these species. By the way, this is kiwi. Still not super in love with the foliage. Did I just break that? No. Oh, is it rotten? Oh no. It could be rotten at the bottom, but I don't think it is. Hold on. Maybe it's just weird. No, it's not rotten. It's just odd looking at the bottom. You know what? I have decided this is fine. I think those are just the roots. I have no idea. Honestly, not an expert, but you can kind of see. You cannot see at all. It just looks a bit weird there at the bottom, doesn't it? Anyway, it's not my favorite, so I'm not even going to care about it. I sound horrible. But if I see some issues, because like the leaves are firm, it's not dying, so it's probably fine. Where was I in my whole story with the... Yeah, I need to get some other plants. There's not enough plants currently. I have some begonias, that's true. I have more than some begonias. I have quite a few begonias, but I want to grow miniature orchids and I want to grow carnivorous plants, and I need to get some mosses if I'm going to turn this into a planted terrarium. And I don't want to just put the sphagnum moss in the back. There are different types of mosses that you can use, and it takes some time for them to grow, but it ends up looking really beautiful. The issue that I have is if I start to get more of the terrarium plants, because I don't buy them. I mean, the ones that I bought like 5 in one batch, but I typically would get only couple, and I just don't want to spend 200 euros now, or I don't know how many, to get orchids and carnivorous plants, etc. I would like to buy them in smaller batches, and to really like select and choose what I want to get. And that means that, it could take a couple of months until I get all the plants that I want, And that leads me to my question, like, where do I grow these plants until I get everything that I want? Well, I have to grow them in a terrarium, but I sort of used up all the bottom of that Rotsta. Most of this is because I'm just like a big chicken right now, and I don't really know if I could do this. I'm not very confident in my skills here. It's a whole different story. I'm new to these plants. These are not Hoyas. So I just am not sure. It would probably be fine, but yeah. I don't want to unnecessarily kill a lot of plants by doing something that I have zero experience in. But anyway, the point of this whole thing is what I want to do maybe instead is just get like metal mesh and put it in the back so I can put some plants on the wall of the Rotsta, change the lights, it needs different lights, and select which of the plants are going to go on the bottom, which are going to go on the wall, and just leave it at that. It's the simplest thing. And then I can like weather strip it, and I do have the misters inside, and then see how the plants do, how they grow, how good I am at growing them. And like if I directly plant them inside, I'm just afraid that like, will I be able to treat them for pests and so on? Just to see how resilient these plants are to the pests as well. I don't know, I think that would be like my smartest thing to do, to like really slowly go into this instead of just like rushing in, because I'm just not really sure that we know what we're doing. I'm actually sure we don't know. This is speckled chicken, kurochka riaba. This one is actually looking quite good on camera. I mean, it looks good in real life, but what the heck? She is looking amazing. They did not look amazing last time on camera. I think I was overexposing. I turned down most of the lights. It's a bit darker than usual because it's very hot, and just to help me a little bit, I turned down the lights. I will turn them up, of course. They're on still, but they're just dimmed. Also, I've been having headaches because of the temperature change and the pressure change, so I'm trying just like not to lose my mind at the moment, if at all possible, and turning down the lights helps a bit with that. So I don't know, if there are people who watch my channel, and I'm sure there are, who have built a Rotsta terrarium, if you can just like recommend videos that I can watch. Again, I found a lot of different builds for not specifically a Rotsta terrarium, but different types of terrariums. And they have been helpful, but yeah. Also, like if you have experience about building terrariums, like is this a good thing? Like, should I just take it slowly? I mean, I do know that if you don't make mistakes, you can't learn anything. That's absolutely true. If I don't make a mistake, I can't learn anything. And, you know, I am sure once I decide to actually turn this into a terrarium, I will make mistakes. 100%. I will make mistakes, but I feel that like right now it could be quite catastrophic because I'm probably going to overlook something. Oh my gosh, don't fall out. And maybe like if I decide to do this in a couple of months, maybe it will be less catastrophic. Especially now I don't have so much time. I have, you know, I'm a little bit falling back with the videos, and there's so many plant chores that I feel that maybe it will be slightly better if we do this like in fall. I know that's not ideal time to do like plant stuff, but honestly in fall, like the radiators will be on and it will be pretty much the same conditions or similar conditions like now, but for some reason it's just much more difficult for me to take care of plants now because it's actually hotter than it would be in fall. It's actually hotter. It's 28, I think, inside if I see well. Yeah, it's not 28, it's 26 inside. This is almost like building reverse sandcastles. For whatever reason, this one is just not obedient. This epicea is Aloha Mauna Loa. We do have this nasty leaf, and I just want to get rid of this. It's been nasty there for a long time. Absolutely yum. So yeah, and I'm going to get some Gesneriads for the terrarium, some terrarium Gesneriads. Now, isn't that something? Isn't that something? Who would have thought? Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any experience. Give me courage, etc. We have 3 more to go. I just think it will be best to do it this way. And maybe I can propagate from some of my begonias because they're growing fairly well. Maybe I can take propagations from some of them and then use those propagations to start a terrarium versus using the mother plants. So if something devastating happens, the devastation will be minimal or lessened. Yeah, I don't know. I actually have no idea what kind of a mesh, where I can find the mesh that I'm looking for. It needs to, I want it to be black. I don't want it to be very obvious. So I'll have to look for that. We don't have Amazon. Please don't suggest Amazon. We don't have Amazon. So I'll have to just find something locally. I think that's the right step. I think that's the right step. It's just a bit too much. I can get the mosses and grow them out in a prop box. I can do that too, because mosses are also like, I don't know, 5-6 euros per pot, and you need a lot of moss to cover that. So I can get like maybe 4 or 5 species and grow them out in like prop boxes because they don't require a tremendous amount of light. This is Blue Nile. And I can work on getting some supplies that I will need, which is copious amounts of foam and branches and stuff. I'm kind of like, you chickened out, but at the same time, I honestly think, for me at this moment, this is probably the smartest thing to do. To not jump in, and I think I can make it look good. I have seen some setups that look pretty close to a terrarium, to like a directly planted terrarium. It's not exactly the same, obviously, because it still looks better, but I just think this is a bit more manageable. Or, I don't know, maybe someone can come and do it for me and I can just record a video and explain what the person is doing, but someone with more courage and knowledge can do it. Anyone interested? I'm starting to like this one a bit more. This is the chocolate creme. I didn't like it initially, but I'm starting to like it. Hopefully now they will need slightly less water. And as always, we're leaving the favorite one for the end. And I think this is a Dominica, because that one is, that's the name that I remember and it's kind of missing, and it's the best one. Yeah, oh my gosh, she's the best. It's incredible. I want this one to be huge. If anyone is allowed to get huge, that's the one. Let's just finish up here. These are all going to get bottom watered now and hung back up. I also got a couple of new plants aside from those that you have seen, that philodendron, but we're going to discuss that in some upcoming video. Oops. Oh, they just fit so perfectly. Now get huge. All right, I think I'm going to end it there with the plant chores. I don't know if this is going to be a quick video or a long video, but it is a video. No one can deny that. We're not going to discuss quality, length. By the way, my basie, I think I told you, it's growing a new leaf finally. So let's hope this is going to be majestic. Anthurium leaves are so cute when they're small, and sometimes when they're big. Sometimes they grow nasty, but let's hope that's not going to be this one. It's doing really, really well in this mix. I love this Anthurium mix that I make. It's moss, bark, and pumice, and you can just see the roots love it too. Look at that. You know this one didn't have big roots, but it's already all over the place. They just adore this mix. In so many cases, in most of the cases, I can grow incredible roots. And then at one point I just stop watering the plants and then they croak. I should just grow roots. I should get that orchid that's only roots, and that's what I should get. I should grow only plants that make roots and nothing else. I am gonna go now and continue with my plant chores. Probably gonna watch Game of Thrones and do some plant chores. I know, so lame, but I will see you in the next video again. Thoughts, opinions, ideas, motivational support, all of it for the Radsta in the back. And have a wonderful weekend. I will see you in Hoya of the week, which I also have to record, so I really just don't think we have time. I have so many videos that I need to record. There is no time to do the Radsta Miro. There is no time. I hope where you are at, you are not in a heat wave, but do let me know that as well. And yeah, time to go. Time to go and to shut up. Bye. It's kind of good, this angle. I would like to take some time to thank all of my patrons for their incredible support. A massive shout out to my $5 patrons. My 2 anonymous patrons, Alex von Siebenthal, Amber Clear, and Margaret Munt, Angela Bernard, Angela Parrish, and C. Aspen Drake, Betsy, Brett Noble, Candy Taft, Catherine Molina, Christine Claire Cola, Daniela, Danube Daniels, Daria Kaminska, Dili Heredia, Diane Sikorsky, Dipanjali Rao, Either W, Erin Keenan, Eleni Saxon, Alan M. Mortal, Farah, Gathering Moss, Gina Geise, Go Green Tropical, Gross It's Kyle, Heather Uppingham, Hoji Scott, Hoya Heather, Yana Griffin, Jessica Chia, Jonas Barrior Larson, Jovan Denoth, Kara, Catherine P, Casey Gross, Callie Gallagher, Kelso, Kimberly Polka, Kiwi Mochi, Christy Ehrlich, Lisa Mary, MPLS, Lori J. Revert, Mandy Milliken, Marcel Har, Maria Stein, Marina Yarmolich, Mars B, Marty Miller, Mary Rose, Melissa Walker, Michael Curley, Michelle Heron, Nicole Ferranti, Mirka Grun Roos, Moa Edmond, Nelly Yang, Niha Basso, Nicole Maroney, Nanguin, Nita Macy, BJ Planet Druid, Rachel Peterson, Sandra Cornelius, Sherry Kumar, Sophia Rian, Stephanie H2O, Tessa Martins, Tia B, TJWO, Trista Bailey, Tristan Thomas, Wendy Rossman, Zenia Green, Youth of the Walamut, Zaira Rivera, Zordarama, and Zlakov Niponi. A big thank you to my $3 patrons, Angelina Farnan, Kilone Constance, Daryl De Rosario, Deborah Violet, Eden C, Catherine Parsons, Kens Brown, Elle Lindberg, Lindsay Ann, Mary H, Monica Wykers, Nella, Sykes Zera, Renee Church, Ringlov Tang, Watanas Riakul, and Wendy Foreman. And a thank you to my $1 patrons, 1 anonymous patron, Alice Borland, Brandon Pacheco, Christina Greengrass, Colleen Coyle Levi, Couture Helvetica, Emilia Bronson, Jamie Arsenoth, Jolie Sullivan, Kayla Vavra, Kelly Ash, Chris Perez, Lauren M. Lori and Subramania, Blusmin Fernandez, Neely Spicer, Nerdy Kathy, Olivia Chinmuller, Sarah, and Tracy the Eyebuller.